Alright, finally got all the parts in for a little project I've been working on, which is to finally complete my MSX. The MSX is probably the most actively developed for system in regards to homebrew hardware there is. It's actually kind of head-spinning just how many flash carts and interfaces you can find for this thing. But yeah, but a lot of people still think the MSX is just kind of that system that runs Gradius really choppily with bad scrolling. But so now that I've got all the little parts that I've finally in, just thought I'd do a quick little video just to show it all in action. So here's my good old Turbo R. And you'll notice we've now got 5 carts plugged into this thing. So here, of course, the main slot is the game. Then I've got a slot expander to divide the second slot into 4, which the slot expander is actually made in France. And we have a 16 meg RAM card, though I'm using it inside the expander, so it has dip switches on the back, and that's disabled, so it actually runs as 4 megs, though 4 megs is an insane amount of memory for MSX anyway. Then we have an SD interface that basically works like a hard drive. Mine is an older one, and thankfully it works perfectly fine inside the slot expander. I actually saw a few videos online reviewing this Japanese RAM cart that says it will lock up if you run MSX-DOS 2 while using this cart and expander. But thankfully on my older SD interface I can boot MSX-DOS 2 and I get the 4 megs of RAM plus the internal, and works every time. I've never had a lockup, so at least on this older interface with this older 2 gig SD card it works fine. Next up is one of the main attractions, which is the Powergraph Lite made in Brazil, which contains a V9990 VDP graphics chip, which the MSX itself doesn't know how to use. The software, in this case the game, has to control it, which is why it has its own video output. And that just goes into my Select D15, which goes into my monitor, because it's a VGA pinout, but it's 15 kilohertz, so don't plug this into your VGA monitor. And finally in the back I have a OPL4 music cart, which of course is true stereo, which is why the audio cable is coming out the side here, which then goes into my mixer. But yeah, so basically you've got 2 video outs, 2 audio outs, and then I can mess around with other carts. Like for example, if I want to use the MIDI pack, I can just probably pull out the OPL4 cart, slap that in there, and game carts go in the front. So I don't really have to mess around with it too much. You'll notice I also have a folded up envelope shoved underneath it, because the one thing of these slot expanders is it puts a lot of, it's a lot of weight, because there's a gap. They don't lay flat. So just so I don't put any strain on the edge connectors or on the PCB itself, I have it wedged with a piece of paper. It looks ghetto, but it works, it's safe, and this particular slot expander is like literally half the price of the more fancier ones that have cases and external power, and for my purposes it works great. Everything works. So you might be wondering, what's the point of all this? Well, you can kind of think of the V990 as almost the new super graphics for the MSX world. It was originally created many years ago by Sunrise and had all of like one real final game that actually supported the thing, which would be, they did Battle Bomber, which is a Bomberman clone, really nice. That game is basically freeware now, and I can load it right off the SD card. But other than that, recently, with the Brazilian-made Powergraph, it's kind of gotten a rebirth, and we actually have a few real games now to go besides just Bomberman. We got Myths and Dragons here, which is made in Spain by Kai Magazine, and it is basically a Capcom beat-em-up. I mean, they basically just rip sprites out of Capcom games, but there's nothing else like this on MSX, and it's really, really fun. So, I don't care that it's not entirely original. And it does use the OPL4 music cart, which is why I've got it set up for that. And there's also Codename Intruder, which is a good old 2D shooter. This one actually run on a stock 16 kilobyte MSX1 as long as you have a V9990 cart. And this also does support SCC, so for the best music experience I take my SD Snatcher SCC music cart and just swap it in with the OPL4 cart to get full music on that too. So even though this game technically only requires an MSX1, you still need 3 cartridge slots to play everything. Other than that, I mean, the cart itself comes with a CD, which comes with the old demos, things like Power Basic, the Unfinished Shooter, and actually Battle Bomber's on here too. So if you're too lazy to just download it, it even comes on the CD for you. But yeah, overall this is a great setup, because if I want to use, for example, a flash cart, I can just swap that in there. I can swap in the mini pack. So it looks kind of insane, but I'm really happy with it, and I'm not gonna lie, this was not cheap, because everything came from different corners of the world. Like the music cart came from Korea, Expander from France. But in the end, I'm quite happy with it, and more and more games are coming out to use this stuff. The next one coming out will be Chibi Akuma's, which is coming out I think next month. That'll be a floppy disk game, so it's actually quite cheap compared to the carts. And then there's a few other games in development, including a really nice looking port of Ghosts and Goblins, which I have a demo of, but it's a really early demo. It has no sound, so it's just kind of a proof of concept. But there is a video of a much more finished version on YouTube. It is unfortunately not totally finished and therefore not released yet. But just to give you a quick peek to see just how far MSX homebrew has come, we're going to put Myths and Dragons on. So you won't see the MSX boot up because that's being displayed on the normal video out until the game boots up. Awkward to... But, we're going to go with the OPL4 music. And I'm going to use a password just so I can kind of show you the bit of a later level, just because I like the music, and you know, the first few levels in a game like this are usually pretty boring, so give me a sec, I just gotta punch this, pull up my picture of it. Alright. But yeah, you can create a new password anytime, and then this is the game that lets you go back and replay older levels whenever you want to, so you can gain more experience, gain more money. But if you do manage to get through the whole game without dying, or without using a password, it does unlock a few bonus stages. And we're going to start with the castle because the stage just looks cool. And let's crank the music up just so you can actually kind of hear it. And just to give you a little taste, because quite a bit of fun, and there's nothing else like this on the MSX, so if you're crazy enough to spend the money and get all the parts needed for it, I'd say it's worth doing. Yeah, I was never that good at this genre. But that's alright. It's just fun to play. And the music really does sound wonderful. Go back to the map and just do one more level just for the fun of it. Not quite. This should give me life. And let's go to the village. Alright, boss time. Alright, so just wanted to do a quick vid of this stuff since I finally got all the pieces in, and 2018 and MSX Homebrew is still very, very active and great system to get into. Though I will admit, prices have gotten a bit insane over the past few years. Still though, if you're one of those people that thinks the MSX is just a system that plays really choppy shooters, give it another chance. There's a lot out there.